What's up, everybody? Welcome to Touchdown Texas, episode 24. I'm your host, Shiva Patel, and I'm my co-host here, Nick Rodriguez. What a weekend for the Longhorns at the Combine. The Longhorns were showing out. They were the talk of the Combine. A lot of players had huge performances. But Nick, how are you feeling, man?
Man, I am feeling fantastic. A lot of guys performed at a really high level that we expected to perform at a high level that were already going to be first round picks. John A. Barron, Kelvin Banks. And then there's guys who we didn't know yet and really needed to perform well. I'll throw Quinn into that category. Jaden Blue made himself some money. So everybody performed at a high level. It's really good to see. And let's get into it. I'm really pumped to talk about it today.
Oh, I couldn't wait. So before we get started, be sure to follow us at touchdown_Texas on our social media channels, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And be sure to like and subscribe to this video. And I'll say it again, if you want to go past our previous videos from when me and Nick reacted to the games during the season, we have some legendary reactions and analysis. I'm just going to say that right there. So go back in the archive, especially that Arizona State game. That was crazy. But now this is off-season talk. But the combine are. I think we should start with the man that I think surprised us all, Matthew Golden, running
Yeah.
a 4.29 40-yard dash. That was number one among wide receivers. Nick, we knew Matthew Golden was fast, but how surprised were you that he ran under a 4.30?
Man, I'm very surprised. I mean, I think when you see a guy like Matthew Golden, you know he's fast, like you just said, but then he can take it to another level, clearly. And he has football speed too. So, a lot of guys are just fast in the 40. This guy is clearly also fast in pads. And man, did he show it all last season? I mean, that number is going to make him some money. Number one, 4.29. Deontay Thornton Jr., 4.30. And then, man, between 2 and 3 is a massive gap.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Thornton are neck and neck. He edges out Thornton. But, man, between 4.3 and 4.34 is a massive difference. And Golden made himself a lot of money. We knew he was fast, but it's still not Xavier Worthy fast, but that is still elite wide receiver fast. And we know, like I said, it's not just in shorts fast. We know when he's in pads, he's extremely fast. We know he can go down and get the football. He's aggressive. He's a beast, and he just made himself a ton of money with that speed.
He did. And ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Golden is a first round lock. Pin it right there. He just eased the biggest
Lock it in.
he just eased the biggest concern for the scouts. The scouts were like, well, can he run all that? Well, he
Yes.
just showed you.
Yes, he
He
can.
was incredible. And it could not happen to a better person. I argued, and Nick agreed with me throughout the season. I was like, Matthew Golden may be the fan favorite. Obviously, Quinn is, but like non-Quinn, like a quarterback player, Matthew Golden became a fan favorite.
Yes.
He was a wide receiver one. He carried us throughout the season because Vaughn was dealing with an ankle injury. We know it was clutch, Arizona State. He even had some one-handed catches. I know you're going to remember this, that Vanderbilt gave him the end zone. He had that one-handed catch, which was amazing. So he runs crisp routes. He can get off press man coverage. He has a big catch radius, and he has strong hands where the ball comes near, he's going to come up with it, and he's willing to take the hit too. He's a team first guy that's willing to block. He'll get open for the quarterback, and he'll always be in the right spot at the right time. He was the reliable wide receiver when we needed a big play, and that was Matthew Golden. He can beat you in the wide receiver screens, the intermediate routes, and even the deep balls. Matthew Golden was our deep ball threat. So I have to ask you now, where do you project him going now?
I mean, so there's a lot of mocks like before the combine that had him in the late 20 or not, like starting in the 20 range, right? Like right here, like you're showing if you're listening, having him going to the Steelers. There was one that had him going as late as Buffalo. There's no way he lasts that far down to Buffalo. He's the number 2 wide receiver as a lock. The number 1 is the Arizona player, Tate, or that's his nickname, right?
His nickname is McMillan. Yeah.
Okay. But from Arizona. But I've seen a lot of guys put Golden at number 1 just because of the speed. And again, it's not even with like Worthy, who is such a speed guy. Worthy's not a gadget guy, right? Worthy can do
Mhm.
so many things. But Golden might be a better receiver because Golden's got more muscle to him, more meat to him. He is so good in the red zone. There's not really a lot of weakness to his game. He's great with the toe tap. He did it against Arizona State. He gets Vandy. Really broke out against Florida. We were actually at that game. So to your question, I really think it starts in the 15s. I think in the teens he can really. I think if the Bills want him, if Pittsburgh wants him, if you want a receiver, you're going to have to go up and get him because he's going to go quick. He's going to be a guy. I think a lot of GMs that pick in the 15 to 20 range that want a right receiver just did this. Great, because now teams are going to be so aggressive to want to go get Matthew Golden, and they don't want to get jumped. Pittsburgh, before the combine, was probably the perfect spot for him to go. But now with that amazing combine and be like, hey, let's go get him at 15. Let's go get him at 16. Maybe you're Arizona. Maybe, Cincinnati doesn't really need him around there. Obviously, they have too many weapons. They need defensive help. But my point is, I think starting around 14, 15, 16, teams are going to want to try it up and get him just because he's going to be a monster. And if you just turn on the tape, if you've been watching him all year like we have, you know he is. But, God, did that 40-yard dash really, really help him.
And he's always been like an under-recruited player coming to
Yeah.
Houston, and he just shows that grit that Matthew Golden has. And for the draft, right now everybody likes his name is Territora McMillan, who Nick was referring to with Arizona. His nickname is actually T-Mac. That's Tim McMillan's
Oh,
nickname.
okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. So he's right now. Only reason that he may go number one over Golden is just measurables. He's a 6'6" guy. He's a jump ball guy. I can't really blame him for the production because Arizona, their quarterback was good, but that offense wasn't really that. Like he was the main star of that offense. I
Yeah.
really like him. He's been comped right now to the Saints at number 8 because Saints are losing their wide receivers. But hey, what if the Saints tuck themselves into Matthew Golden, like a
Mm,
Marcus Colston type of player or something?
mm.
Yeah. So I know Nick is really
Reminded.
intrigued. So I think he's for sure going to go wide receiver number 2. But some analysts are saying today Matthew Golden might be wide receiver number 1 because McMillan did not run a 40. He's going to run his 40 at his pro day. So let's see how he does with this 40 time. I don't think he ran any routes, which Golden didn't either. Golden was basically like, after I ran the 40, he's like, yeah, I'm done for the day. I'm good. Like, there's nothing else you need to see. So I think Golden has a chance to go top 10, but he's most likely going to be in the top 15 to 20 range.
I think so too. And if you look at the 15th pick, that's the Falcons, right? So when we
Mhm.
say like, oh, top 15, like we're not saying the Falcons are going to take them. It might be a trade. It might be a trade back. There's been a lot of trade talk about is someone, going to go after the number 1 pick. Like, so that could shuffle
Yeah,
things around. Just taking a look at the draft board, you mentioned top 10. The 49ers, they're at 11. They just traded
that's a great
away
call.
Debo Samuel. Like, do they go after and
Hmm.
get Matthew Golden? He'd be on a rookie deal. Like, man, would he really fit with that offense? Brandon Ayuk wants out. I don't know. Does Brandon Ayuk want to stay now that Debo's gone? Who knows? There's a lot of options. Point is, he's going to get drafted early. He's going to be an awesome player to watch, and I'm just happy for him. Like you said, he couldn't go to a better guy who we know killed us when he was at Houston.
He did.
And we talked to him like we're like, I'm so glad he's coming to Texas because we should have lost that game 2 years ago, and then he balled out for us and became a security blanket for Quinn throughout the year. So very happy for Matthew.
Yep, shout out to you, Matthew Golden. You made yourself some money, and he
Right.
basically stamped his ticket because he's going to stamp his ticket in the green room in Green Bay for the draft. So the second player I want to talk about, let's talk about another guy that had an awesome performance. He ran better than a lot of people thought he did. What about Mr. Jade Barron, a local Austin kid? He ran a 4.39. That was also very surprising. That was another question that he had from that scouts had. Well, he eased those concerns. So talk about Johnny Barron at the combine.
Another guy that's a top 15 lock to me. It's just a guy
Mm-hmm.
that, again, like you said, that you question the speed, right? That was a good, big question for wide receivers, running backs, and corners. How fast are you? That's obviously huge. 4.39 speed. He obviously has the speed. We know he has the IQ. And again, he just made some money. He's not going to be available in the 20s, right? Someone's going to have to go up and get him if you really want him. Again, I talk about San Francisco. I think they like Texas guys. I guess I'm predicting they will because San Francisco could be another team that could be interesting at 11. You can look at if you go down a little bit more, does Arizona go after them at
Yeah,
16? We
they
talked
need
a few
secondary
weeks
help.
ago about Cincinnati nabbing him maybe at 17. Tampa Bay, did they lab him at 19? I mean, I think he is going to be similar to Golden. I think we're going to have a Texas run here. Who goes first, second, and third here. But I think he's going to be in that same range of he's a high IQ player, no questions off the field. The biggest question was his speed. We knew he had that speed. And again, it's a guy that has speed, not just in shorts, right? He had toe-to-toe speed in Michigan, toe-to-toe speed, Bama, toe-to-toe speed, Ohio State. Just ask Jeremiah Smith how that worked out. Like, the kid has speed, right? I know we had a certain coverage package for Jeremiah Smith, but I'm just saying, like, you can't do that if we don't have speed on the outside. And he does have the speed. He's going to be a top 15 pick as well to me. I mean, he's probably quarterback 3 on most people's list. Most people have Travis Hunter number 1. And then it's a debate between him and Will Johnson, who did not run, right? I don't think he ran.
No, he did. No, he did not run. He's waiting for his pro day. Yeah.
So our guys performed. Our guys, I mean, I'm a big guy and just perform. Just go out and unless you're hurt, that's different. I know Will Johnson's had the injury issues, but if you're hurt, if you're not hurt, I think you should just go out there and gut it out. Like, let's see what you got.
No, definitely. And Johnny Barron's another player that he was under-recruited. He was a fifth-year player at Texas, a local Austin kid. He won the Thorpe Award, which was awesome. That was huge. And I call him the Swiss Army knife. He started his career at Star, then he played some nickel, then he played some quarterback last year, and then he even had to play some safety because what's the guy's name? Derek Williams, who got hurt or started safety last year. So he was playing with Taft, with safety, and they would bring Gavin Holmes in as the other corner besides Malik Muhammad. So he's a guy that's a versatile piece. Just watch the Arkansas game. That Arkansas game, our offense in the first half was horrible. Nick already went on his rant about that after that game. Go back and check that out. It was funny. It was well said. It was funny, but he was all over the field. He stopped the running back, behind the line of scrimmage. He sacked the quarterback. He intercepted the quarterback. He had 3 PBUs. He kept us in that game to start. So Johnny Barron was an awesome piece. He has the length. We know he can run. He has great ball skills. I love his technique, how fluid his hips are. Because as a quarter, you have to have fluid hips because you have to have good change of direction. He does not allow wide receivers to fool him. He loves to watch film. He lived watching film. Like sometimes they even said Texas staff at night, like on a weekend or something, would have to kick him out of the film room. Like Johnny, it's like midnight. Like, go home, buddy. That just shows his football intelligence, his love for football, and I just love a player like that. He'll also hit you. Just because you may think some quarterbacks don't like to hit, but he'll come and run support and he'll knock you out. He's great on that corner blitz too, because blitzing is a skill, especially for the DB. So he's an all-around player. I agree. He's right there with Will Johnson, but I would lean slightly towards Barron just because of production. And Nick, I got to ask you now: do you still feel that he's a better quarterback than Travis Hunter?
I still do. I mean, I still do. I know I'm probably gonna get flamed on that. I still think he is. I try to listen, and I know Shivam does too. We try to listen and read other opinions and other writers and guys who, maybe more in the know about other players that we don't follow. And obviously, Travis Hunter is going to be an amazing player. From what I've seen from Travis versus Jade, I don't think there's a lot that Jade can't do. And I will take my guy Jade Barron over Travis Hunter. If I get burned, I don't think I'll be burned badly. Like if Travis Hunter ends up being a beast, I don't think Jade Barron's going to be a bust. I think he's going to be a very, very good corner, and I'm not going to look so too silly on that one. Hopefully, and if Travis Hunter's that good, then Travis Hunter's that good. So, but I will stick with my guy Barron on this one.
I love it. I love you can take into that. And for the last 3 episodes, Nick has been calling that Bear is going to go to the 49ers. He's trying to manifest that. Kyle Shanahan, did you hear us? You hear us, Kyle Shanahan? You
Shanahan's
need
a
help?
Texas guy.
Yes,
Shanahan's
he's
a
a
Texas
Texas
guy.
guy. So, but any team would be lucky to have Johnny Barron because he's a high character kid. He has football IQ, and he's just a great player.
What about this fit here? 18 to the Seattle Seahawks. What do you think about that for Johnny Bear?
Pairing him up with Devon Weatherspoon. That
It's
would
not bad.
that would be because Seattle needs to get back to the Legion of Boom, which
Right.
with Richard Sherman. I forgot the other quarterback's name, the safety's name, Earl Thomas. And there was another cornerback.
Texas guy. Earl Thomas is
Yes,
a Texas guy.
they're-
Andre Diggs
they're-
used to play there. Texas guy.
yes. Like their defensive line is good, Seattle. Because they have Byron Murphy, they have some other
Texas
good
guy.
guys. Yes, they need to shore up their secondary. They also have Michael Dixon, who's the punter, who's also another
Texas
Texas guy.
guy.
I love that. Okay, yeah.
I don't mind that one. I think I'm still in love with the Cincinnati one. I think that's the one that gets me excited the most because I'm like, oh my God, does that make sense? Just do something on defense, Cincinnati. But I don't know. We'll see. He could go really high. I mean, it's just there's going to be trades, there's going to be movement, so we'll see where he goes. But he's going to go to a good spot.
Definitely, and he said Cincinnati, which we like because you have to face the AFC North. Lamar, whoever the Browns quarterback is, might be Cam Ward. Cam Ward, Joe Burrow's are your quarterback, and then either Fields or whatever quarterback the Steelers draft. So yeah, I said the Packers the last episode. I think he has a chance to go with them because that's another division that has a lot of great offense, Nick. And Johnny's going to he's always around the ball and he's going to make plays for you for sure. So we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. Now let's talk about the last guy that's going to be a projected first round pick for the Longhorns. Kelvin Banks. He went on the last day. He had a pretty good, he had a pretty good day at the combine. Let me just read you some of his measurables. So he's 315 pounds. He has a 10 and 3/8 inch hand size, 33 and a half inch arms, 84 and 3/8 wingspan, and a 32 vertical. A lot of scouts were thinking that he's going to be a guard. But what is your feeling about that and Kelvin Banks at the combine?
I think Kelvin Banks did a very good job. We were talking about who's going to be the first Longhorn off the board. It's going to be Kelvin Banks, right? It's going to be Kelvin Banks. And then it's going to be a debate between, is it Johnny Barron? Is it Matthew Golden? But everything according to NFL.com, he did exactly what he's supposed to do, right? His production score, he ranked 5th. His overall score was 13th. His total score was 4th among offensive tackles, right? So he's going to be right there. That's just as far as athletic ability, right? And then you take into account, he started all 3 years. He was at a big program. He's not a character issue. He's high praise from Sark and all his, all the other players. So this guy's a top 10, might fall out of the top 10. Like, we're showing here Miami Dolphins. I think would be a great fit for Kelvin Banks. I think the only debate between Kelvin Banks and Shivam and I have talked about this where we think he is a tackle, but NFL scouts and teams, have a certain parameter of what they think a tackle should be, and they probably will put him as a guard. Now, we don't agree with that. I think he's going to be amazing wherever he, at as a tackle because he is so smart. To me, he does have great size, and to me, he is shown how good he can be in the Big 12, in the SEC, in big-time competition. But that being said, if he's placed as a guard, I think he's going to be outstanding. I think he's going to be an awesome guard at the next level. And I actually wouldn't mind if he slid a little bit to the Miami Dolphins. I think that sort of offense would help him in a tackle or a guard position because of the way they move the ball. It's very quick. He doesn't have to protect as long. He's got a very important job of keeping Tua alive. Or whoever's back there. So I like him in Miami. I know that's not in top 10 territory. Maybe they have to trade up to nab him. I don't believe Will Campbell graded as well, or he didn't blow things out of the water. So it could still be a debate between Campbell and Banks as far as I'm concerned. But I wouldn't mind if he slid. I think Miami's a good fit for him is my point.
Exactly. Nick, you're a pro at this. Thank you for leading me right into Will Campbell's measurables, ladies and gentlemen. I have him right here. So Will Campbell, 319 pounds, 4 pounds heavier than Kevin Banks, also a 32 vertical, but his hand size was 9.5, which was less than Kelvin Banks. His arm size was 32 and 5/8, less than Kelvin Banks. His wingspan was 77 and 3/8, less than Kelvin Banks. And people were saying Will Campbell is going to be a tackle. If you read the description right here
Yeah,
for those that are
exactly.
watching, for Pro Football Focus, this is their mock draft that came out this morning, Monday morning, March 3rd, as we're recording this after the combine. Banks' arms were shorter than the ideal 33.5 inches, ranking just in the 26th percentile for offensive tackles, but his 84th and 3/8 wingspan is 82nd percentile measurement at the position. Well, if Banks' arms were shorter than the ideal size, then what are you going to say about Will Campbell? Will
Right.
Campbell didn't even live up to Kelvin Banks, so I don't get it what they're looking at. Another tackle that really showed out was Armand Membu. He's a Missouri tackle. They said he had a great combine, and he's going to get into the Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell consideration. He ran
Yes.
a four. He ran a 4.91. He's 332 pounds. He had a 9'7" broad jump. So Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks may have some competition from this Membu guy from the Missouri Tigers, but I'm going to say it. I still think they're going to draft Will Campbell at number 4 to the Patriots. Kevin Banks, I like him if he goes to the Miami Dolphins, but I'm going to die on the sword. He's going to go number 10 to the Chicago Bears, and then
There's
13th, the Dolphins will draft Armand Membu from the Missouri Tigers.
look. I mean, we've talked about this before off air. I think we've mentioned it several times on air. Sometimes it's not about if you're number 1 or number 30. Like where you go makes so much sense. Texas is we're in our riches era right now. As a brand, we should be. We're up there with UGA, Bama, USC, Notre Dame. We are that good of a program, and I think that's what drives boosters and fans crazy is when we're not up to that ability. It doesn't matter if he gets picked 4th or if he gets picked 10th or 13th. A 5-star offensive tackle isn't going to be like, well, you know what I mean? Like, no, like he fell, right? Also, I personally think Chicago and Miami are fringe playoff teams for next year, right? So he could end up being in a better situation. If he ends up in Miami or Chicago. I like him going to Chicago. I think that's a great fit. You got Caleb Williams. You can protect Caleb Williams back there, which it helps to me when you have a guy that can move behind you, right? Tua can move a little bit, not as well as Caleb Williams. And then the New England quarterback, Drake May, can't really move that well, right? And then they have a lot more issues in New England. So I think if you're New England, there's way more eyes on you to be like, sacked again. Like, what are they doing with this Banks guy? This guy's terrible. So it could be a blessing in disguise if he were to fall to the top 10. I'm using air quotes because it's still a top 10 pick. And then Miami is right there with 13. But if he falls anywhere between 4 and 10, he's not going to pass Miami. Miami's not going to let him pass. I'll say he goes to Miami. That just feels like such a connection for some reason. But either way, he's going to be our first Longhorn, I believe. Unless he goes to Miami. Unless he goes to Miami, and there's a chance that San Francisco might take one of Jade or Matthew. But I think he will still be our first Longhorn.
Yeah, like he's definitely going to be, I think, the first
I think
Longhorn.
so.
I would still keep on that as the odds-on favorite. And yes, Kevin, they think he's only 6'4". He's not a prototypical tackle. All I got to say is go watch the tape. The tape does not
Literally.
lie.
It's not all about
as a true freshman. He didn't even start spring ball. He came in summer camp, and he won the job the second week of the camp. I know we needed a tackle. We needed a tackle at that point. UT was desperate for him to start, but Herman would not have put him in if he wasn't. Or no, it wasn't Herman. Excuse me. Sark in his early years, he would not have put him in if he wasn't ready. You just don't throw a true freshman out there like that.
No.
So he's mature for his age. He has great feet. He's like a dancing bear. He's really good hands. Like he can, force a pass runner's hand just off of him. He's good at swatting, hand placement. He has great technique. He locked up Will Anderson, who was the number 3 overall pick with the Texans. It was only his second career college game, and he locked up Will Anderson. He started every single game that he was healthy. He only missed 2 games in his entire career, so and so he's very durable, and he's another high character guy that loves football that comes from a great family. So just to look at the tape, don't overthink this. Fine if you want to start him as guard, fine. Let him start his rookie season, half his rookie season at guard. That's fine. Say you draft him at 10, put him at guard until he develops. But overall, long term, he's a tackle, and if he's a tackle, he's gonna make multiple All-Pro NFL teams, and he's gonna be a very high impact player for a very good team. Well, now we got to talk about. So we're already halfway through the show. We have not even talked about QB1 yet. Quinn Ewers, what a day for him yesterday. He also helped with his measurables. So before I get Nick's reaction, let me just read you some of his measurables. 6'2", which is very good size for a quarterback. That's about how tall Mahomes is, 6'2", 6'3".
Yep.
214 pounds. So he gained some weight, ladies and gentlemen, and that's not bad weight. That's muscle.
Right.
He gained some muscle. Good weight. 9 3/8 hand size, very good, especially if he goes to a cold weather team. And he's in the QB3 conversation now. And talk about Quinn Ewers.
I don't know if there's a guy that had more growth than Quinn Ewers over that weekend. That weekend did wonders for him for a couple of reasons. One, he threw the ball well. And anybody, Longhorn fan or not, knows Quinn can throw the freaking ball. That's not the issue. The issue has been consistency and injuries. He gets hurt. The other big thing is that came out is he was healthy for 2 to 3 games the whole year. Are you serious? And he still balled out, right? He still took us within one play of the national championship game. Again, you know that guy bleeds burnt orange, right? You know he does. And came out again during the combine that he was offered upwards of $8 million to transfer and play for another school. He said, no, I'm out Longhorn Nation, right? This is who I bleed, right? He interviewed very well. We knew he would. We talked about this. We knew he would interview well. We knew he would perform well because we know he could throw the ball. We know he has the body type, right? We know he's got the chill mannerisms. They even had Sark on NFL Combine, which, again, is the plus of being a big program. Yeah. They've done that, I'm sure, with Kirby. I know Saban's done it, right? Any of the big blue bloods, they're going to put you on there. I'm sure John Harbaugh's done it, which helps. It's a guy that can able to talk to your quarterback. You think they have all of them on there? No, they can't. They can't interview every college coach on there to talk about your quarterback. It helps, right? And Sark is so good at answering those questions and being honest about the art situation. It helps, right? He has cemented himself. To me, he's a top 4 QBs, I think.
I like it.
I think it's Ward, Shador, Dart did very well for himself too, and Quinn, right? And then the other part that has nothing to do with Quinn is half the guys didn't even participate. Shador didn't do anything. Cam Ward didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then Quinn's like, F it, I'm gonna do it. Dart did it. And he performed well, and he's chill, and he did well. And the thing that I did like that Shador Sanders did say, and then I'll get your thoughts on the Quinn performance, is he said, "Hey, look, because this is about Will Howard, and Will Howard didn't have a great performance, but Shador was basically like, hey, like you're throwing to guys you've never talked to before, right? It's difficult, and I don't think everybody knows that, right? So with that being said." Quinn did awesome, right? And I actually do think he did throw a couple passes to Isaiah Bond, which is kind of funny. They just kind of got together in the rotation. But overall, he did very well. There's talks of him being a second round pick, which we talked about. We knew he was going to interview well, but I'm very, very happy for Quinn. I think people are finally giving him the respect that he deserves. Finally.
And you heard it. Those of that watch our show and that the Volador show we've been saying it since the season. He's going to be a second round pick.
Literally.
A lot of UT fans are like, no, he's going to go the 4th or 6th round. I'm like, get out of here. Like, obviously you guys don't watch the draft or you don't know anything about the draft. Right. Like, no way he's going to go 4th to 6th round. But again, so Quinn Ewers was awesome. I was so happy for him. You could see he was smiling. He was having a good time out there. And in his combine interviews, he was very very personable, because the Austin media, he's a little cold to the Austin media, which I don't blame him because he constantly gets asked about Arch, and it's kind of like, okay, guys,
It's
can we
got to be
talk
annoying.
about something else? Yeah, so he was personable. He interviewed with 10 teams, which I love. He had a great interview
It's a
with
lot
Mike
of
Tomlin,
teams.
a great back. Yeah, a lot of teams, which was important. Only 7 of those teams put him on the whiteboard, so he's going to be able to draw up the plays, and they're all about recall. So he has the recall, he has the
He's
smarts,
gonna be, yeah.
he he's a savvy quarterback. So I love that. There was a report. This is from John Francilla on Twitter. He said multiple teams are hanging back on Quinn Ewers, trying not to make too much noise because they think he's massively undervalued in the 2025 draft. So even if you're not hearing all the smoke about Quinn Ewers, I feel like behind the scenes, it's like a house burning on fire. Like they are excited about Quinn Ewers because
Mm-hmm.
he's only 21 years old. He's going to be 22 at the end of this month, and
Mm-hmm.
they think of him as a high upside player. Let me talk about the drills. I love the way the ball was just coming out of his hand. He just threw a flick of the wrist, and the ball placement was amazing. He had the
Mm-hmm.
necessary accuracy and zip. That's why he was the number one player in the country, ladies and gentlemen, because he just throws such an easy, catchable ball. And Kirk Warner, who was on the broadcast, was praising him. And I was a little nervous, Nick, not gonna lie, when they were throwing the deep balls, because those that watch the Texas games know that's not a strength of his. His first deep ball, what does this guy do? Throws a perfect dart to a guy that he's never thrown to before. And even Kurt Warner was like, his eyebrows raised. He's like, that was a good throw. That was an amazing throw. And I loved it. They did the outs on the left side, the out routes, skinny post, over the shoulder, red zone, and the deep balls. Quinn, the ball hardly touched the ground at all. May have touched the ground 1 or 2 times, but that's understandable because you're throwing to guys you've never thrown to before. Quinn helped himself so much. In my opinion, I think Quinn and Jackson Dart had the best day. Before I hand it back over to you about Jackson Dart, I was impressed with him because his arm strength was a question, but he was throwing the ball. He was slinging it out there as well, and he has a running component. So I think Jackson Dart's going to be QB3, like you said, but Quinn is going to be right there because Will Howard did not have the best day either. A lot of hype was around Will Howard. He struggled. Jalen Milrow was all over the place, and so I think that Quinn can go QB3 or 4.
I 100% agree with that. I think he's cemented himself in there, and that's, that I think that's something that. Oh, sorry, my something popped up on my screen here. Hold on 1 second. All right, here we go. But I agree. I think once the season ends, everyone calms down about, oh, it's all Quinn's fault, it's all Sark's fault, Texas stinks, and all this stuff. And you calm down, you evaluate, and you go, oh, Ohio State was actually a really good team. Okay, oh, okay. Texas, they made crucial mistakes. Oh, okay. It's not all on Quinn Ewers. Okay. You look at the film, and then you take Texas completely out of it, and you're just looking at Quinn Ewers, right? He's a great ball player, right? He wouldn't have started and done as many things as he did. The only reason why we criticize him so much is because, one, he plays for the University of Texas, and two, there's a guy named Arch Manning sitting behind him, all right? And by the way, not nearly any, or there's not many people, I should say, that would be able to handle that. I mean, that is insane. And Sark was talking about how impressive that is, that both of them dealt with that. Arch, we love Arch. Arch could have been a real pain in the butt and be like, I demand, this, that, and the other. But Quinn, I think, did an amazing job. I think what you said, you nailed it on the head about, we heard some smoke, right? But you're not going to hear everything, right? Especially this early. We still have several weeks to go. Right now, you're going to have all the podcasts and everyone writing, doing more of their mock drafts, more interviews, free agency. His name is going to rise and rise and rise. It went from 5th to 4th. He's going to be in that 2 through 4 range. I think he's a lock for 2, personally.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a lock for 2. Maybe. I mean, I don't see him slipping to 3rd. I don't know. I don't know how, but I think Jackson Dart also performed very well. It's a guy who, again, they're very similar to me in terms of their bravado, very chill. I think Kiffin, the Ole Miss head coach, is such a believer in his quarterbacks. He puts so much on their plate. And he's like, you know what, just go have fun and ball. And Sark does that in his own way with Quinn. Like, he puts a lot on your plate, expects a lot, loves them, and then just by the time, but they're very chill. And by the time they interview, they both interviewed very well. You and I were both very high on Jackson Dart throughout the year. I think he was my number one SEC quarterback at the time. And he has the measurables for both of them, though. It's consistency and it's staying healthy for both of them. And if they can do that, they're going to have great NFL careers. Both of them.
Oh, for sure. No, for sure. And Jackson Dart has a real chance to go in the first round. I think he's a quarterback.
I think he will.
Yeah, besides Caden Shador, he can go in the first round. Quinn, he's going to go in the second round. I don't see him slipping past 3 because he's just a player that you don't have to start him right away, but he already has. He's going to be 22 by the time he starts his rookie season. But think about this. He's had 38 college starts. That's amazing. In a complex pro-style system like Sark, Nick alluded to this earlier. He admitted that he actually got hurt during the Michigan game. And then that Monday after the Michigan game, it flared up. And then later in the season against Kentucky, he had the ankle injury. So that's where some of that pocket presence wasn't as good, because those of you that know that when you're in the pocket, you push off your ankle to be able to throw the ball. So he may not have the zip on the ball because his ankle was injured. I thought it was ridiculous that scouts were like, oh, he doesn't have the arm strength. Well, first of all, Sark does not recruit quarterbacks that can't throw on every blade of the grass. So, of course, he has the arm strength. And you see from high school. It's because he was injured. The pocket presence critique was valid, okay? But how much of that was injury? But the arm strength critique, I just never got at all. But whatever, it's okay. We're good. Quinn had a great combine. He interviewed well. He balled out on the drills. He looked very comfortable out there. He is going to make an impact for a team down the road, and he's going to be a high upside player in the NFL.
Just real quick before we move on, I think that Jackson Dart made himself so much money just performing. That's another thing. I think they both had to perform. They don't have the luxury of Shador or Cam to be like, we can take it off. I think Pittsburgh is a team to look at with Jackson Dart in the first round. A team where I would personally, I don't know if Russell Wilson will be there. There's a lot of free agency questions, but a few years ago they drafted Kenny Pickett, who actually had a decent rookie year. I thought he was actually going to turn out pretty good, but then kind of flamed out afterwards. He was the only quarterback in that first round. Now, in this scenario, he would, Dart would be the third pick, but it's similar. Pittsburgh's always in the 20s range. I could see them nabbing Jackson Dart. Maybe they start Justin Fields for a year. Maybe they just get Russell Wilson on a 1-year deal, and then they move on to Jackson Dart. And I think that's something Pittsburgh likes to do, kind of that quick rebuild that they like to do. Or maybe they try to get Quinn in the second round. But I think for both of those guys, Pittsburgh will be looking at a quarterback in either round 1 or round 2.
Oh, for sure. And either of those quarterbacks would fit perfectly at Pittsburgh. Blue-collar guys that like to work hard, that are good guys that Mark Tomlin looks for. So that would be perfect. There's some questions. Some people think that Jackson Dart could even rise to number 2. Shador Sanders' stock has really kind of plummeted. They think that the earliest he's going to go is the 6th to the Raiders. They think Cam Ward is by far the number 1 quarterback in the draft. Most people think number 1, they're either going to pick Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, but Abdul Carter had the injury, so let's see if he gets ready by pro day. Number 2, the Browns are most likely going to pick, I think we can agree on this, Cam Ward most likely. Come on, you have to in that division. You have to pick Cam Ward has the highest upside, but we'll see what happens. But I just want to rehash a previous conversation that we had for some teams that we think that would be good fits for Quinn Ewers. Nick said Miami Dolphins. I said the Los Angeles Rams, the Seattle Seahawks. I like his Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers is another good one. New York Jets, maybe, if they're not able to get the quarterback that they want to. Maybe the New York Giants, if they missed out on Cam and Shador. So any other teams, or do you think that's like a good landing spots for Quinn?
I mean, I think you nailed a lot of them. It's interesting. I'm interested to see, just looking at the teams here. I think the Saints, from what I've read, they like Spencer Rattler. I think they're going to give him a go next season. I actually think he's pretty good. He's tore us up a couple times up when he was at Oklahoma. I actually think he got better as he progressed when he went to South Carolina. So I don't think the Saints are in need. The Panthers, they're going to stick with with Bryce Young. The Bears, no. So you kind of go through the teams. You're kind of losing. You hit on them. Miami's so interesting to me. Like, do they get a quarterback? They kind of need one. With Tua being beat up all the time. The other team that's interesting to me is Jacksonville. Does Jacksonville do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because now they could do the Atlanta Falcon move and draft one right now, which would be weird. Or they could kick the can down the road and get one in the second or third round. Maybe that's where they try to get Quinn. Maybe that's where they try to get Jackson Dart. I don't know. They seem like a team that needs a shakeup. I like Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a good quarterback, but it doesn't seem like the best marriage. A lot of new positions, new head coach, I think a new GM, new defensive coordinator, clean house over in Jacksonville. So there was rumors before that he would, Trevor Lawrence or Jacksonville, Pittsburgh was interested in Trevor Lawrence in a deal. So that would shore up Pittsburgh quarterback issue. So maybe Jacksonville, gets a quarterback out of that. Maybe it's Quinn, maybe it's that Jackson Dart. But I think they're a sneaky team to look out for. Other than that, I think you hit him. Quinn. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think with Shador, why didn't he perform? Is it because he was hurt? Does he just wanted to wait to the pro day? Is that why?
He said that, I think he just wanted to wait to the pro day. I think he thought that he would need anything to prove he was a guaranteed first-round pick by Cam Ward. I didn't like a couple of times how we came across in some of his interviews. I watched all the interviews in the combine a little bit, and Nick has alluded to this before. He's a little bit of a me guy. He's trying to mask that a little bit, but sometimes the more you talk, the more that comes out a little bit. You
are who you are at some point.
But tell the audience why did you get that feeling? And this was even during the season when we would rank the quarterback. Nick didn't just come up to this conclusion like instantly. It was during the season. Tell the audience why you think that.
I don't know. It's just every time he interviews, it's just, you know what it was? It was a game that we were watching. I think it was against Nebraska.
Oh, Nebraska.
It's like beginning of the season, and they got killed. And in his post game, he's like, "Well, my defense did this, my special teams did this, and we might be in a chance to win." And maybe that's true, but to me, you never hear the top guys do that, right? Like I've never heard Cam Ward do that. I've never heard Jackson Dart do that, and I've never heard Quinn do that, or Arch, or Jalen Milroe, right?
Yeah.
Carson Beck, I know he's not in the draft, but never heard any of those guys do that. Will Howard, Riley Leonard, never seen them do that before. You don't really see the elites do that unless you have that credibility. Like Brady will do it, but he did it in a different way. Shador is like, he does the watch thing, and it seems like it's all about me, and I don't know. It to me, they're like very out of touch. Like all those clips come up about them, and like there was a clip out there where he got interviewed where his dad moved him to the hood when they were like in elementary school. This is not me saying the hood. He said that. Shador said that. So he's got that grit and all that stuff, which I don't know it's like manufactured grit. Like I don't know how real that is. I think he's cool when he's playing. Like he looks awesome, but we got to see it first. I think him to the Raiders just fits so perfectly. So I don't know.
It does. It does. And just a comment. Exactly. I'll tell you. So it was after Nebraska's comments, and he got sacked like 6 to 8 times or something. Yeah. They asked him about it, and he said something like, the other quarterback's name is Dylan Raiola. He's like, how did Raiola's line look? Did they protect him? I'm like, why do you even say that? You're indirectly throwing your guy under your own line under the bus. But no, Shador is a great quarterback. Under pressure, he throws darts. He'll stand in the pocket, take the hit when necessary. Like he's an awesome quarterback. But does he have the upside? It's more like old school, new school. The new school is Cam Ward moving around. Old school is a pocket passer like Shador Sanders. What is your cup of the tea? And it seems like the Browns' cup of the tea is what's his name? Cam Ward. And then the Raiders, who Tom Brady now is a minority owner, that's one of Shador's mentors. So that just seems very like a great fit. So again, we'll see what happens. But in the draft, before we wrap up, there was some big news for the Longhorns. So in the history of the NFL Combine, Texas Longhorns are the only program to have 4 players run under a 4.40. That was Worthy, Barron, Golden, and Blue. So, what is your thoughts on this? Look at this top speed: 24.41 for Worthy, 24.17 for Bond, 23.84 for Mitchell, 23.57 for Golden, and 23.29 for Blue. What is your reaction to this? Texas going to recruit speed, huh?
Speed, man, speed. It's just amazing. 24, 25. You got Xavier Worthy. Obviously, he's the GOAT right now. But this is also what we talked about. It's not just guys that are fast. These guys are fast when they play football. Xavier Worthy, he's slim, right? But he's fast as a deer, and he proved through this whole NFL season that he can hang.
Mm-hmm.
He can take the NFL hits. A.D. Mitchell never gets mentioned. Transferred from Georgia, 2-time champ from Georgia. He's gonna have a breakout year with the Colts. I really think if they can get their quarterback situation figured out,
I like
these
it.
guys are all speed. Everyone's kind of flaming Isaiah Bond right now because he said he would beat Xavier Worthy, and he wasn't even the fastest guy in the team. But look at this. If you just go top speed, he was the fastest, just top speed, right? He hit 24.7 miles per hour. Golden was right behind him at 23.5. AD. And then Jaden Blue, a guy we haven't even talked about yet today. I mean, this was a guy, and you and I were texting. This was a guy who were like, is he going to get drafted, right? We were like, we think so, right? 6th round, 7th round. He's getting drafted. That's so fast.
Yeah.
The problem with him is the fumbles. And the good thing, though, is that he got better throughout the season. But you could see his speed when he played. He had a big one against Oklahoma, but he coughed up the football, right? Luckily, we were able to get on it and score and everything. But that's a guy that I think this shows 2 things. One, Sark loves speed. Sark knows how to use speed, and recruits are going to like that. Running backs, receivers, quarterbacks, whoever. Everyone's going to love that. And then 2, these guys are all going to be in the NFL or productive in the NFL. Jaden Blue, he's going to be amazing in the NFL. He just has to get better at holding on to the football. He got better as the season went on. He fumbled the ball less. He had that huge run against Clemson that sealed the game for us. That speed right there, that's Texas football. And you're just going to see more of it. Arch might even crack the list. I mean, we know Arch is fast. Maybe not that fast, but he's pretty fast. He might be, 19, 20 miles per hour. He's really fast. So I don't know. I think it's just going to be a new theme for us over the next several years, as long as we got Sark as the head coach.
Definitely. Yep. Texas and speed. That's definitely a thing that's going to appeal to recruits. That's something that Sark is known for. That is quarterbacks and speed. That's the identity of this Texas football program. And Nick hit on Jaden Blue. There's a couple of things I wanted to say about him. He ran a 4.38. Put into context, Jahmyr Gibbs, who went 12th overall, 2 years ago, something like that. He ran a 4.36. So Jaden Blue was right there with Jahmyr Gibbs. It was concerning a little bit that they measured his hand size, that he has small hands. But again, that may explain some of his turnover problems a little bit. So that's something that he's going to have to figure out. In the playoffs, he was amazing. 2 touchdowns against Clemson. They were huge touchdowns. 1 touchdown against Arizona State. 2 catching touchdowns against Ohio State. He performed in the playoffs when he needed to. So shout out to Jaden Blue. The last player I want to talk about before we wrap up is Gunnar Helm. So fortunately, he did get injured. His ankle was pretty badly swollen, it looks like. That looks like very painful. But he ran a 4.93 in his first 40. But then he came back and ran through a 4.84, fighting through an ankle injury. He had a 30 vertical jump, which was all right, but he wasn't healthy. But he was a 7.15 on the cone, 4.40 on the shuttle, which was good for 4th among the tight ends. He did look really good in the drills. He looked fluid. He had good hands and everything. But if he can get healthy, I feel like Nick, he could really improve the 40 time and the vertical jump time, and to improve his draft stock.
I think so. I mean, I think he he didn't have his best day or his best weekend, Gunnar Helm. But like you said, I think it helped, that it came out that he was hurt. He didn't say anything about that. It just kind of came out on his own, and the pictures are pretty nasty. I mean, that thing looks deep.
Yeah.
Not serious. He'll be fine for his pro day, and hopefully he balls out for that. But I think it shows a lot, right? Like, dang, he got hurt on his 40, and then he still did all those drills. He didn't complain.
Right.
He still gutted it out. I think itself shows a lot. But I also think for certain positions, and I'm not giving Helm a pass, he did not perform very well. Considering all other tight ends, just Texas players in general, like he did not have his best week. The tight end position is interesting to me, though, because it's a sloppy position. You're a receiver, but you're also an offensive lineman, right? So it's fixable, right? Like if he could show that he's a beast during the pro day, he's going to be fine, right? We know how productive this guy is at Texas. He was the true safety blanket for Quinn Ewers all season long, right? We know there's things that he can work on, like every player. But for a tight end, they want you to be able to be a safety blanket for your quarterback. Can you slip out and catch the ball? Are you smart? Do you have high IQ? Can you block? Those things are the things they're going to look at, and then most of that stuff they're going to find in the film. I even though he didn't perform, peak Gunnar Helm, they're going to look at his film. It's not going to crush him because I think he's going to be able to, like you said, make up that ground on his pro day, catch the ball from Quinn Ewers, run a little bit. I know he was working out with Diago Pavia from Vanderbilt, and people are like, why is he working out with another quarterback? Well, he's getting used to catching the ball from another quarterback. Quinn was working out with Mike McCarthy, things like that. But I don't think it tanks him as much as because he's a tight end, as much it would tank a running back who's slow. Right? We're not expecting him to run a 4.3. You know what I mean? So he can make up that ground that he might have lost. But no, he still did not perform well overall.
He can definitely get into the 4.6 range. I think in late 4.5.
And that would be huge.
That would be huge. Go look at his film. He could block. He could catch the ball. He made some acrobatic catches. He's athletic. He hurdled a couple of guys. Like what a performance! Like a season.
Look at him against Michigan.
Yes, as a senior. And again, the story. He was one of the lower rated recruits in his recruiting cycle. So look at him come off and I think he's tight end number 3 behind Colson Loveland and Tyler Warren. Those two guys are going to go in the first round. They had good, but again, I think Gunnar Helm can go 3rd, 4th round. That's not crazy to say. Yeah, so get healthy, Gunnar, and we look forward to seeing you at the Texas Pro Day. That is March 26th. So we're getting close, ladies and gentlemen. But as we wrap up, the last question I wanted to go over was, let's talk on the macro level. Who had the best combine performance? There's a lot to pick from, but if you had to pick one, who would it be?
I think I'm going to say Jaden Blue.
Nice pick.
I was thinking about taking Matthew Golden just because he had the best 40 time as a wide receiver. But because he was already a top, because to me and you and by most people, he was already wide receiver number 2. He was already going to be a first-round pick. He just locked that in. Same with Jahdae Barron. Quinn Ewers also did very well for himself. But I think if you talk about a guy like Jaden Blue, nobody outside of Texas was talking about Jaden Blue, right? Nobody. And the fact that he performed that well, he showed off his speed. He performed well in other drills.
He did.
He doesn't have any character concerns. There's really no character concerns in our program. Not just saying that because I'm a Texas guy, but there's really not anything that's come out over the last few years about characters and stuff. But I think he really made himself a lot of money. I think he will rise draft boards. The biggest thing is to be that consistency of holding on to that football. The hand size is huge. But, man, did you nail it on the freaking head. Damn, in the playoffs, he performed. Clemson put the game away. Ohio State, he scored twice. Arizona State, he played well. So, to me, that's a guy you go, okay, he struggled against OU, but, by the way, he had like a massive run. Yeah, but whatever. But let's look at the last 3 games. Oh, big game against Clemson. Put the game away. Oh, performed well against Arizona State. Oh, okay. Oh, was basically our offense against Ohio State. Okay. So I think the scouting report's going to be very good. And everyone needs a running back. There's so many guys that can come in and out of lineups. He showed off his speed. He's got to take care of the football. He played well at the end of the season. I'll go Jaden Blue as a guy who made the most money for himself this week or this past
That's
week.
a great pick. And to talk about the high character, Jaden Blue almost transferred after his sophomore year. Or no, it was after his freshman year, excuse me. But then he was like, no, I'm going to stick it out at Texas. And that's another reason we need to, support guys like this that wanted to stay with the program. And he fought hard. He worked his butt off, to get into. He was not. If Baxter was healthy, he would not have been in the rotation. Maybe it was a fortuitous bounce, but fortuitous bounces happen to people that put their head down and work hard. So I'm happy for Jaden Blue. That's a great selection, Nick. My guy is okay. I'm going to talk about something that we have not talked about today. What about Alfred Collins? He looked good. He looked good in the drills. I don't think he ran a 40, but Nick, he's going to go in the mid-second round, early third round. Alfred Collins. It's a deep defensive tackle draft. Like that was I was nerding out on watching the defensive tackles because there's some big athletic dudes in this draft. Like it's such a deep defensive tackle draft. So Alfred Collins to me, he's another guy that had a great impact, put it all together. He's a fifth-year senior, and he is a prototypical Longhorn. His mom used to play the basketball team for the women's basketball team. And he's from Bastrop, Texas, which is about 1 hour away from Austin. So he's one of those Texas guys that decided to stay in the state. He was being recruited by everybody. And the light bulb maybe didn't come on until like his fifth year, but at least it did. And he always had the measurables. He finally put it together this season, and he was one of our best defensive tackles in this draft. So out of the 14 Longhorns in the NFL Combine, I think it's fair to say that at least 12 for sure are going to get drafted. The only question marks are Hayden Connor, who he had a good combine, not great, and then Jake Majors. Just because centers are not very valued nowadays in the NFL. So those are the two guys that I don't think are going to get drafted, but if they do, that would be amazing. We have a chance for the record. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching this episode of Touchdown Texas. We hope you enjoyed our breakdown of the NFL Combine. There's going to be so much more material as we continue to go through draft season. Now we're in the tournament. The women's team is number 2 in the SEC, which I think we kind of got robbed.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. But then also, the men's basketball team is still fighting to get into the tournament. That's another day for another thing. But Nick, if you want to say something, go ahead.
Just got a quick thing to add here. I just saw it right before we recorded, and you watch it a little bit. I watch it too. The Sims Unbuttoned podcast. Chris Sims, obviously a former Longhorn quarterback in the NFL. Played at Texas. During those major Applewhite days. But he just posted on his podcast, the Texas guys won the combine, right? He said that Texas guys won the combine. And if you know anything about Sims, if you are not doing your job, he will call you out. He's not a homer in that way. Of course, he reps his horns, but he put it down. The Texas guys won the combine. How about that?
What a way to end the show. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's end on a bang here. Again, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow us on our social media channels and like and subscribe to this video. This is your place to be for the best combine coverage of the Texas Longhorns. Again, we have the Pro Day coming up March 26th. Players are going to be taking team visits, a lot of news out there. And of course, we're going to be talking about other sports. Baseball is 9-1, number 12 in the country. They're killing it. Women's basketball, we think they're one of the top 2 teams that can win the tournament. So at least we have a basketball team that's going to be performing well, unlike the men. But again, we can talk about that later. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.